In the last video, you guys learned to add mixed numbers with regrouping. In this one, you're going to be practicing the skill of subtracting mixed numbers with regrouping. Now, it's the same idea where we're going to have to do some decomposing, some breaking down, and regrouping in order to solve the problem. But it's the same skill and strategy that you used with adding. So let's take a look how we're going to do this. So say I have the fraction 4 and 1/4 minus 2 and 2/4. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this around, and I'm actually going to set it up vertically or up and down, and that way I can really see what I'm subtracting. So I have 4 and 1/4 minus 2 and 2/4. Okay, so the reason I decided to set it up this way is because when it's broken down like this and when it's vertical like this, I can easily see that I'm not going to be able to subtract 1/4 from 2/4 because 1/4 is smaller than 2/4. When I'm looking at it this way, automatically what I really want to do is subtract 4 minus 2, and then I would try to think I can't subtract 1/4 minus 2/4, but sometimes you might just say 1 minus 2. Sometimes we still get that backwards when we're doing subtraction. So if we set it up clearly, we're able to see that you cannot take 1/4 away, or you cannot take 2/4 away from 1/4 because 2/4 is bigger, and we cannot have the bottom number in subtraction be bigger. So what we're going to have to do is just like in regular subtraction, you're going to have to borrow. Now, it's going to look a little bit different because we're talking about fractions here, but just like we talked about, you have to go next door, and we have to turn this into a 3. We're going to be borrowing from this 4. Now, instead of adding a 1/2 over here, because we just took away a whole, we're going to add it in a little bit different way. We're going to add it as 4/4. Now, I know 4/4 is 1/2, and I just took away 1/2. And I know 4/4 is a whole because if the numerator and the denominator are the same, it's always equal to 1. I chose 4/4 as my way to represent 1 because I already had the denominator 4 here. So it would make it the easiest way to solve this problem. So let's regroup. Let's talk about what we just did one more time. We saw that we couldn't subtract 2/4 from 1/4. So we went next door and borrowed 1/2. So our 4 became a 3. Then, since we borrowed a whole here, we had to give a whole over here to our fraction. And we chose 4/4 so that we could easily add these together. So let's now add these together, and you guys are awesome at that. I'm going to cross these off, and instead of having 4/4 plus 1/4, I'm going to change this to 5/4 because 4 plus 1 is 5, and we keep the denominator the same. Now I see that I can easily subtract because now I can subtract 5/4 and 2/4 because 5 is greater than 2. So let's do that. I know 5 minus 2 is 3, and we leave the denominator the same, 4, 3/4. Now that we've subtracted our fraction, we can go over to our mixed number, our whole number. We have 3 because we borrowed. We have 3 minus 2, and 3 minus 2 is 1. So our answer is 1 3/4. Now, let's take a look at what this means. I really want to show you guys a picture so that you can understand when I'm subtracting these fractions what I'm actually doing. So my number that I have here is 4 and 1/4. What that means is I have 4 wholes, 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes, and 1/4 of another. So I'm going to divide all these up into fourths because that's the denominator that I'm working with. So I'm having them all in fourths. And I know that I have 4 whole ones shaded in. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/4. You guys also know you could do it this way. You know that 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17, and we keep our denominator the same. So I have 17 pieces shaded right here. 17 pieces are shaded, and they're broken up into 4 pieces. Now, it's telling me that I need to subtract 2 and 2/4. So what that means is I need to subtract 2 wholes. So let's do that now. 1, 2. I also need to subtract 2/4 of another. So let's do that. 2/4. So let's subtract 2 pieces of these 4. So let's see what I have left here. I have 1 whole left, and I have 1, 2, 3 pieces, and they're cut into 4s. So this kind of shows you a visual model of what we were just doing. Let's practice one more problem, doing it with just the numbers. So I'm going to scoot this out. Actually, let's turn it over. Okay, let's say we are working with the problem 5 and 3/5 minus 2 and 4/5. So remember, I automatically want to just say 5 minus 2 is 3, and then I'm stuck. So what I'm going to do to make this easier, once again, is I'm going to show it up and down. I'm going to show it vertically. So we had 5 and 3/5 minus 2 and 4/5. Okay, let's get to solving. So we start with our fractions. We're going to start on the right side, what's farthest to the right. And I see here I have the fraction 3/5 and I have the fraction 4/5. Now, I cannot subtract 4/5 from 3/5 because 4/5 is bigger. And in an easier way to even look at it is I see that 4, this numerator, from just looking at the numerators, 4 is bigger than 3, and I can't have that. So what we're going to have to do is go next door, and we're going to have to borrow. So I'm going to go next door, and 5 is going to become a 4 because we are borrowing from it. We're taking away from it. And if we take away 1 whole from this whole number, we're going to have to give 1 whole to our fraction over here. So I'm going to choose the denominator 5 because that's going to be easiest to add. So I'm going to add 5/5. I know 5/5 is the same thing as 1 whole because when the numerator and the denominator are the same, they equal 1 whole. So now we've regrouped this into helping us solve. So let's see, let's add these together first. I know 5 plus 3 is 8, and I'm going to keep my denominator the same, 5. Now I have a fraction that we can work with, a fraction that we can subtract. So I have 8/5 minus 4/5. So let's subtract our fraction. I know 8 minus 4, I'm just subtracting the numerators, 8 minus 4 is 4, and I leave the denominator the same. Now I can subtract my whole numbers. 4 minus 2 is 2. So our answer would be 2 and 4/5. Good luck today when you are adding and when you are subtracting your mixed numbers. Please email me if you have any questions. For B, you can attend my Zoom session today if you need extra help. And for A, yours is going to be tomorrow. So please keep any questions you have for me. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.